Football is a beautiful game. Skill, passion, talent. But sometimes, it's also about doing some pretty weird stuff before matches. You ever wonder why certain players do the strangest things right before a game? Like, I'm not talking about stretching or mentally preparing. I'm talking about full-on superstitions that are so bizarre, you won't believe they're true. From Gary Lineker refusing to shoot in warm-ups to Laurent Blanc literally kissing a bald head for good luck, footballers have some seriously odd habits. Let's start with someone everyone knows, Gary Lineker. England's golden boy, one of the best strikers of his generation. But let me tell you, the guy had a very unusual superstition. He refused to shoot during warm-ups. Yeah, Lineker didn't want to waste any goals before the real match. He'd go through the entire warm-up without firing a single shot, because he believed scoring in practice would somehow drain his luck for the game itself. And this wasn't just a one-off thing. Lineker did this throughout his career. The man scored 48 goals in 80 appearances for England, won the Golden Boot at the 1986 World Cup, and yet, he was genuinely convinced that if he started scoring in the warm-up, that would ruin his chances of hitting the back of the net during the match. If I tried that in my local league team, they'd probably think I've lost my mind. What's funny is that it worked for him. The guy had an incredible goal-scoring record, so maybe there's something to it. Makes you wonder, could we all be missing out by wasting goals during practice? I'll leave that one for you to figure out. All right, so moving from scoring goals to, well, visiting the restroom. Yeah, I'm talking about John Terry now. Chelsea legend, tough as nails defender, absolute warrior on the pitch, right? Well, turns out he had a rather, shall we say, delicate pre-match ritual. John Terry always, and I mean always, used the same urinal before a game. No, this isn't a joke. This was his thing. Can you imagine that? You're John Terry. You've got a massive Premier League game ahead. Stamford Bridge is packed. And what's the most important part of your routine? Finding your urinal. Terry once said he had loads of pre-match habits like sitting in the same spot on the team bus and listening to the same playlist before every match. But the urinal thing? That's on a different level. I mean, we all have our quirks, right? Maybe some of you have your lucky shirt or need to do something specific before watching a game. But I doubt any of you are quite as committed as JT was to his bathroom routine. Up next is one of the most iconic and probably most weird superstitions in football history. If you've watched the 1998 World Cup, you'll definitely remember this one. Laurent Blanc, before every single match, would kiss goalkeeper Fabien Barthez's bald head for luck. Every single match, before they stepped onto the field, Blanc would plant a smooch on Barthez's shiny dome. And they started winning games. So, naturally, everyone was like, hey, maybe the head-kissing thing actually works. Blanc kept it up all the way to the final. And you know what? France won the whole tournament. Coincidence? Maybe. But you can't argue with the results. What's even funnier is how chill Barthez was about it. I mean, it's one thing to have your friend give you a high five before a game, but a kiss on the head? That's a whole different level of superstition. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if someone tried kissing my head before a game, I think I'd be more distracted than lucky. Now let's talk about Paul Ince, one of the hardest midfielders to ever grace the Premier League. This guy had a pretty unique pre-match routine. Before every single game, Paul Ince had to be the last player to leave the dressing room. He'd wait until everyone else was out on the pitch before he made his way out. And it didn't stop there. Once on the pitch, Ince would make it his mission to touch what felt like every single blade of grass. It's almost like he was trying to connect with the pitch on a spiritual level or something. But it seemed to work for him. Ince was a key player for Manchester United, Liverpool, and the England national team. And with all those tough tackles, crunching challenges, and dominant midfield performances, you could argue that his superstition gave him that extra edge on the pitch. Moving on to Karim Benzema, one of the most consistent goal scorers in his league right now. Most of you have probably noticed something a little odd about him in every game. He's always wearing a hand brace. But it's not even a real injury anymore. Originally, Benzema wore the brace because he fractured his finger back in 2019 during a match. But instead of taking the proper time to heal, he decided to keep playing and just started wearing this brace for protection. Except, he never took it off. Even after his injury healed, Benzema kept wearing the brace as a superstition. He believes it brings him luck on the pitch. With the form he's been in for Al Ittihad, you can't argue with it. The man is still banging in goals left, right, and center with that thing on. Maybe we all need to start strapping on hand braces for our games. Next up is one of the all-time greats, Johan Cruyff. This man revolutionized football with his style of play, but even Cruyff had a couple of strange pre-match rituals. For every game, he'd do two things: slap his goalkeeper, Gert Balls, on the stomach, and spit his chewing gum onto the opponent's half. Yeah, chewing gum. Cruyff was superstitious about it too. He'd always make sure to do both of these things before kickoff. Interestingly, he once forgot to spit his gum out before the 1969 European Cup final, and Ajax lost. Coincidence? Who knows? But after that, Cruyff never forgot his gum again. It's pretty wild when you think about it. I mean, slapping your goalkeeper? That's not exactly in the coaching manuals, is it? As for the gum thing, well, I guess it's better than spitting at your opponents. Now, let's get a little witchy with this next one. Adrian Mutu, an immensely talented but wildly unpredictable forward. You probably remember him for his stints at Chelsea and Fiorentina, or for some of the controversy that followed him. But what you might not know is that Mutu also had a bizarre superstition. He would wear his pants inside out during matches. Yep, inside out pants, as if things couldn't get any weirder in football. And it gets better. Mutu once said that this ritual started after he had a run-in with witches. Yes, witches. According to Mutu, after this spooky encounter, he believed that wearing his pants inside out protected him from curses. You can't make this stuff up, man. I don't know about you guys, but if witches told me to turn my pants inside out to avoid bad luck, I'd probably just find a new hobby altogether. And to be fair, Adrian Mutu did have moments of brilliance on the pitch, even with his career ups and downs. But I'm still stuck on the whole witches and inside-out pants thing. Really makes you wonder what other footballers have hidden rituals that we'll never know about. I mean, what if Messi has a lucky sock that we haven't heard about yet? Or maybe Haaland listens to the same weird song before every game. You never know in football. It's a strange world. Okay, let's move on to a player whose superstition is oddly wholesome. Meet Malvin Kamara, whose ritual involves watching Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory before every game. That's right, the classic movie with Gene Wilder. According to Kamara, watching Willy Wonka helped calm his nerves before matches. While most players are blasting hype music in the locker room, getting into the zone with intense focus, Kamara's sitting there, chilling out to pure imagination. Honestly, respect. The man found his zen in a chocolate factory. And if you think about it, football can be stressful, especially when there's pressure to perform. So maybe a bit of lighthearted cinema is exactly what's needed to take the edge off. I just wonder if his teammates ever joined him, or if they thought, you know what, man, you can keep the Oompa Loompas to yourself. I can't say I'd personally pick Willy Wonka before a big game. I'm more of a Gladiator or Rocky type of guy. But what about you guys? What's your go-to movie before a big day? I've got to know if anyone else out there has a Willy Wonka ritual going on. Now this last one is, well, how do I put this? A bit gross. Sergio Goycochea, the legendary Argentine goalkeeper, had a pre-penalty ritual that you definitely won't want to copy. Before every penalty shootout, Goycochea would relieve himself on the pitch. Yeah, that kind of relieve himself. Apparently, this wasn't just a one-time thing. Goycochea did this regularly before big shootouts because he believed it brought him luck. And to be fair, the man was a penalty-saving beast. He helped Argentina reach the final of the 1990 World Cup by saving crucial penalties in both the quarterfinals and semifinals. So, maybe there was something to it. I mean, what do you even say to that? Hey man, I know we've got a big game, but could you handle your business first? Imagine being his teammate and knowing that every time there's a penalty shootout, you've got to give Goycochea some, space. It's one of those things that's as strange as it is effective. And I guess when the pressure is that high, you do whatever you need to do to get into the zone. Even if it's, well, a bit embarrassing. Could you imagine trying to pull this off at your local game? You'd be banned for life. But for Goycochea, it was just another day at the office. And that's a wrap. Honestly, after hearing some of these, maybe my little pre-match rituals aren't so weird after all. But what about you? Which one was your favorite? And more importantly, do you have any weird rituals of your own? Let me know in the comments because I'm dying to hear what you guys get up to before games. Subscribe because maybe I'll uncover even more weird football traditions for us to laugh about next time. Before you go, don't forget to check out my recent video. Thanks for watching.